I would have wished to have been a doctor myself. If I had a chance, I would have been a doctor. So my child, please go and study medicine. If I had a chance, I would have been a lawyer. My son, go and study law. If I had a chance, I would have been an engineer. My daughter, go and study engineering. That is the wrong way to do things. That's the horizontal. And if you ask the parent, what is motivating you to tell your child to take that thing, he'll tell you they make a lot of money. He'll tell you lawyers make a lot of money. He'll tell you engineers make a lot of money. He'll tell you doctors is a very prestigious thing. Now, that's the wrong reason to do medicine. You should not do medicine because it's prestigious. You should not do law because there's a lot of money to be made. You should do those things because you love rendering that service to humanity. The vertical system will give you a chance to render that service to humanity for 20 years in exchange for the system equipping you with the tools for you to go out and now do it on your own. Because after 20 years, you'll be about 32. Now you are free to do your own things. For 20 years, you are getting an education, you are getting an experience, you are getting an apprenticeship, serving humanity. So that is what is in it for the woman. That the woman will be sovereign, the woman will be free, the woman will be independent, the woman will be able to have a healthy relationship with the man or with the rest of the society. Now, a very controversial thing we must say is that in the vertical system there is no record of marriage. The state has no business keeping a register of marriages because marriage, as we know it, it is an institution, and any institution is slavery. In order for people to relate in freedom, in order for people to have healthy relationship, we are not saying we are abolishing marriage, but we are saying there will be no record of that. So that you can walk in if it makes sense to you. You can walk out if it doesn't make any sense to you. The moral and immoral questions do not arise when it comes to marriage. Because marriage is a relationship that has to be healthy, has to remain healthy, has to be cultivated, has to be enriched. And there is no point in keeping permanent record. Let us understand that at the neighborhood assembly, part of the education is to tell human beings the truth that there is no permanency in physicality. In physical life, in the physical structure of things, there is no permanence. And therefore you cannot make a permanent record of someone's relationship to another one. It may be shocking to some. It may raise objections, but that is the truth, that there is no permanence in physicality. In some culture, they say whatever has a beginning has an end. You can put it differently, that whatever has a beginning can end. Or put it another way, whatever has an end can begin. So, people should be free to walk in and walk out of relationship because it has to be a happy relationship. It has to be a healthy relationship. It has to be a fulfilling relationship. It has to be an enriching relationship. And therefore, keeping a record is simply undermining that relationship. That will free women completely. Completely. Combine that with the visibility. Combine that with the visibility. And what? Let us repeat that visibility is that whatever you do in a relationship should be open. Whatever you do in society must be open. Whatever you want to do alone, it doesn't have to be open. But whatever you want to do in a relationship must be open. And therefore, the corruption which comes into the horizontal marriages will not be there. Cases of incest will not be there, because that's a corruption that comes in because of the horizontal rules and laws. Cases of rape, defilement will not be there, because all those are brought by the opaqueness of life, and the horizontal system is always opaque. It is in darkness. But where there is light shining in every corner, in every nook, there can be no corruption. That's why visibility and freedom go hand in hand. Whatever you have a reason to hide can never be a good thing. Whatever you have a reason to display can never be a bad thing. So that is what will happen to women in the horizontal system. But we cannot say we are finished. Let's talk about the youth, because the youth go together with that. The youth, we have talked about inheritance. They inherit both from the mother and from the father. They get free schooling in exchange for service to humanity. And because you are doing something you love, you can never get tired. People in the horizontal system get tired because they are doing things they don't love. But the moment you are doing what you love, you never get tired.
You can't.
And what did we say? We said that within the vertical system, the observer and the observed become the same. Did you stop to think about what the implications of that? Such that if your choice of what you love is dancing, there is no dancer and there is no dance, because they all disappear and merge into one. What is left is simply the dance, isn't it? The worshipper and whatever they are worshipping become one. That is what every holy book says, isn't it? But it is taboo in the horizontal system. It is taboo to mention that the worshipper and the worshipped become one. But the moment you remove the distance between thought and action, the distance between the observer and the object of observation, then it is very easy to see that the worshipper and the worshipped become one. It's very easy to see that when you start dancing, dancing becomes a worship, and the only thing that is left is the dance. There's no dancer, there's no source of music. They are all merged into one. And that is the life, the heavenly life that our youth are going to enjoy, or they're enjoying in the vertical system. That's the beauty of the vertical system. That you do what you love doing. The fear of death is gone completely. Because the only thing that matters is the fundamental death. And the fundamental death is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Because it's only then that you start living. It's only then that you start truly living, when all the boundaries have been broken. When you are able to see, not conceptualize, but to see. Not to see a perspective, but to see the totality of everything. When you are able to see. Let's talk about a building. A building we have a building like where we are now. The only person who has the complete picture of this building is the designer. Yeah. Nobody else has a complete picture of this building. Everyone else will remember part of the sitting room, another one will remember the kitchen only, another one will even remember part of the bedroom, not even the whole of it, another one will remember just one aspect of the bathroom. It's only the designer who has the complete picture. Now, can you imagine how life would be, how beautiful life would be, if everybody is able to have the full picture of this house? Not just the designer, but everybody who has any interest in this house is able to have a complete picture. That's what we call seeing. That we are not just seeing a perspective. The story of the 6 blind men and the elephant, it is not referring to real blindness, that is sickness. No. It is referring to people being able to see what we call perspectives, not having the complete picture or the structure of something. But if you can have the atomic structure of something, if you can have every element you can see, then it becomes a complete picture. And that opportunity is only within the vertical system. Because the vertical system, a child is born and is taught how to see. He's taught how to observe something. He's taught that that thing becomes what it is because of your observation. Without your observation, it is not what you are seeing. Yeah. That there is no cow until you observe it and give it a name. Yeah. That is only possible in the vertical system. We can take a break to allow you to go. So what are the gains that a woman will get in the vertical system? One, the girl child will be able to inherit equally with the boy child. In that in the vertical system, everyone will have access to land. The mother will have her own land, the father will have his own land, and the children will inherit from both of them equally. That is, and then the woman will have her own labor, which she will not sell at the marketplace, but she'll be able to invest. Just like the man will have his own labor, which he'll be able to invest. So, if you have labor to invest and you are making some money, both from your investment of your labor and from investment of your land, that money can still be invested into something else. So the woman will be able to invest equally with the man. she'll be able to get her own incomes separate from the man. Now, but right from the beginning at the neighborhood assembly, where the vertical system, each neighborhood assembly will have a maximum of 2,000 people, a minimum of 500 people. When you have a number like that, each one of them has one vote. Each one of them represents himself or herself directly. From there going up to the next level, the representation of women and men must be equal. So if we are talking about an assembly higher than the neighborhood assembly, for example, if we were to talk about a constituent assembly or a division assembly, we are talking about every neighborhood assembly electing 2 women and 2 men to that assembly. So there's equal representation up to that level. Because what is this that has kept the woman down in the horizontal system? One is lack of access to land, which now the vertical system guarantees. Number 2 is lack of political representation, lack of representation in governance because of many, many obstacles. Now, that one is guaranteed in the vertical system, where there is, at the level above the neighborhood assembly, there has to be equal representation of men and women. Now, the next thing we are talking about is education. We have already said that education will start at the neighborhood assembly, where psychological liberation will be the first on the curriculum. And psychological education, we have given several examples of what psychological education will entail. One of the other things psychological education will entail is that poverty is not in the pocket, but poverty is in the mind. And this will make a lot of sense, especially when we see that everyone has equal access to land and everyone has their own labor that cannot be taken away from them, that cannot be sold at the marketplace. Then what would make one person poorer than the other? It is only because poverty is in the mind. But once you liberate everyone's mind, once everyone has their mind liberated, then poverty will not be there, because poverty is a factor of the mind, not a factor of the pocket. Number 4, we talked about bearing children and bringing up children. Bringing up children is an extremely difficult exercise. In the horizontal system, a lot of that is left to the woman. A lot of that is left to the woman. The responsibility of rearing children, in some cases, is 100% up to the woman. In some cases, it's 90%. In some cases, 60%. Rarely is it ever below 50%. Now, we have said that in the vertical system, the responsibility of rearing children is the society's responsibility. In which case, a woman will be free to bear children at a very early age, from age 16, anywhere from age 16 to age 25, because scientifically, that is the most suitable age for a woman to bear children. And what are we saying? We are saying that in the vertical system, the age of majority will be 16. That's why we keep on mentioning 16. It will not be 18, it will be 16. Because even biologically, even scientifically, the woman's body and even the man's body is well developed at that age. So that's the age of majority in the vertical system. And you may notice that what we are saying is very interesting. We are saying that in the vertical system, only adults will go to school, not children. Because it's at 16 that now schooling will start. Up to 16, it will be education. It will be education, psychological liberation. It will be how do you relate. Because relating to another human being is the most important aspect of education. The failure of our education system is because of that, because we do not teach our youth, our young people, how to relate. How do you relate to someone else you call my mother? How do you relate to someone you call my father? How do you relate to someone you call my neighbor? How do you relate to someone you call my brother, my sister? That is a very, very important aspect of education. And that kind of education will be taught at the neighborhood assembly. Because society, what is society? Society is those relationships. That's what we call society. Without those relationships, there's no society. And if those relationships are distorted, if they are corrupted, then the entire society is corrupt. That's why it is very, very important. Where do you teach generosity of the spirit? It has to be at the neighborhood assembly. Where do you teach about love, loving thy neighbor the way you love yourself? It's at the neighborhood assembly. And that's where people see that it is not working. And if it is not working, they question it at that level. And that's where people see it is working. And when they see it is working, they emulate those who are able to express their love for humanity at that level. And therefore from there, from that neighborhood assembly, from age 16, when we say now you start service to humanity, because from age 16 we say that there is service you render to humanity for 20 years. And those 20 years, you acquire a schooling. Within 20 years, what will you have acquired? Within 20 years, you'll have covered your primary education, you'll have covered your intermediate education, you'll have covered your university education. And if you want to go beyond that, you can. Now you can do it on your own. But for 20 years, the state, the society has guaranteed you free education in exchange with your service to humanity. And your service to humanity is not like in the slave system. It is not you are doing something you don't like. You have chosen something you love. If you love music, you are serving humanity by playing music, by singing for them. If you love poetry, you are serving humanity by singing poetry for them. If you love football, you are serving humanity by playing football. If you love athletics, you are serving humanity by running, by entertaining them in different ways. If you love being a doctor, you serve humanity by learning and